going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout Spot where you already know it's Real Talk Sports Talk, live from my man cave. It's your boy Johnny, and let's talk football because this weekend is championship game weekend. AFC, NFC championship games, last four teams standing. The winners of Sunday's game are representing each conference in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, and in my opinion, any one of these four teams can win it all. That's what makes this weekend that much special. Before we preview this game, though, if you haven't seen my AFC Championship game preview and prediction video, make sure you check it out. At the end, there'll be a video link that will take you right to that. So don't play around. Check that one out after this one if you haven't already. Now let's get into the NFC Championship game because this game is going to be fire. This is the 6:30 game, the second game of the two games this Sunday, and it pits the Detroit Lions, who are traveling to San Francisco to face the San Francisco 49ers, the first seed against the third seed, just like the first game. The Niners are coming into this game as a 7-point favorite, and they're one of the better offenses in the NFL this year. Let's go through the numbers. Right now, they're 6-3 at home, including last week's victory. As far as average points per game, they are third in the NFL. Average yards, total yards on offense, they are second. Average rushing yards per game, they are third in the NFL. Defensively, they're no joke. They're one of the better defenses in the league as well. Average points allowed, they are third. They are only giving up an average of 17.5 points a game. Sacks, they are sixth with 48 sacks. Interceptions, they are first. They are the first team in the NFL interceptions. They have 22 interceptions, and that's led by their cornerback, Charvarius Ward. He has 5 interceptions. Last week, in their playoff game against the Packers, they didn't look good in the first half, but they turned it up a notch in the second half, including a 10-0 run in the fourth quarter to close it out. But don't get it twisted. Christian McCaffrey was the reason why they won this game. He carried the load, okay? And you got to expect the same with possibly Deebo Samuel out this week. Last week, he had 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 catches for 30 yards. No secret, he's the best dual threat in football this year. For the season, in my opinion, he's my offensive player of the year. He's rushed for over 1,400 yards, 1,459 yards, 14 touchdowns on the ground. Equally impressive, 67 catches for 564 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's over 2,000 yards of total offense and 21 touchdowns. Again, it doesn't get any better than this guy. Brock Purdy, he had a bad first half last week, but I give him credit. He bounced back in the second half, showed a lot of poise, made some good key throws in that fourth quarter. But even though he's had a great season, man, I mean, I think he's going to garner some MVP votes for the season. Second year full-time as a starter, 4,280 yards passing, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and a QBR of 113. That's impressive, especially for a fifth rounder, man. But equally impressive so far in 4 playoff games, 3 last year, 1 last week. 4 touchdowns, no picks. That's going to be key. The thing about Purdy that I like is that most people will say he's a system quarterback, and that's fine. But he does it well in that system, and he doesn't turn the ball over. And that's what you want out of your young quarterback. Make plays and don't give the other team opportunities. With Deebo Samuel out, like I said, more than likely, it has not been announced yet, but more than likely, that's what it's heading to. Expect a heavy dose of Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. He's going to spread the ball around those two guys. Over 2,000 yards receiving combined on the season and 13 touchdowns. So even though Deebo's not there, there's 2 viable weapons on the field for Purdy to be able to look for. On defense, doesn't get any better than Nick Bosa. In 10 playoff games, he has 8 sacks. He didn't have any last week, but let's not forget they also have Chase Young on the other side, who's hungry to be able to contribute and try to put pressure on the quarterback on the other end. So it's going to be interesting to see if he shows up and if Nick Bosa has a bounce back game and gets himself into the sack column this year in the playoffs. The key to victory for me for the Niners this week is they got to get off to a fast start. I mean, last week just wasn't good enough. I think it had a lot to do with the bye week. Either way, that's done. It's over with. They have a full game under their belt. They got to get started quick because I expect the Lions fans to travel for this game. They got to get the crowd involved. Last week, 7 points again in the first quarter, in the first half. not good enough, especially for a team that is averaging close, or it was averaging close to 29 points a game in the regular season. My second key is the more you get the ball to Christian McCaffrey, the better off you're going to be. He's a home run hitter. He can put it on the ground and take off and hit a home run for a touchdown, or if he catches a screen pass or a short pass, he can take that one to the house as well. The more you get him involved in both the running and passing game, the better off you'll be, the less pressure will be on Brock Purdy when he drops back to pass looking downfield. And then, speaking of Purdy, he hasn't had any interceptions in the postseason so far in his 4 games, like I mentioned. Don't start now. He has to play a clean game, no turnovers. You gotta make sure that you do not provide the Lions with more opportunities than they should have. Pressure Goff, slow down the running game. I think the Niners have a good shot to win this game. But Detroit, what a story they've been. Just a few seasons ago, they had 3 wins. And now they are 1 game away from the Super Bowl. That's insane. What a job Dan Campbell has done with this team. It seems like they're America's team now. Like everybody's cheering for them. And it's because it's been a while, a long time, since we've seen a Lions team in the playoffs playing as well as they're playing. So, I mean, kudos to what they're doing over there. Let's see if they can get one more win here, because they are 1 win away from going to the big show. And honestly, I like their chances. I do, especially with the way they're playing. Another reason why I like their chances is because they're a good road team. They were 6-3 away from Detroit this year. And that's going to bode well, especially in hostile territory this weekend. Offense, they're one of the better offenses in the league. They can compete with anybody. Average points per game this year, they were 5th in the NFL. They were averaging a little bit over 27 a game, so they can score the rock. Average yards per game on offense, they were 3rd. Average rushing yards per game, they were 5th. Defense, it's where I question. That is their biggest weakness. Average points allowed, they were 23rd in the NFL. They were giving up a little bit over 23 a game. Sacks, 23rd, only 41 sacks in the season. They're going to have to apply more pressure in this game. Interceptions, 11. They had 18. Kirby Joseph, the safety, led them with 4. But the key here to me is the guy on offense that has the most playoff experience, and that's Jared Goff. So far, this playoff run, in these 2 games, he's been sensational. Last week, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns. In 2 games, he's averaging 282 yards, and he has 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. And he's completing close to 75% of his passes. Can he repeat that again against a better Niner defense than the Packer defense that he faced last week? He got to continue to spread the ball. He has weapons. St. Brown and Laporta, in those 2 games, 27 catches, 2 touchdowns. For the season, combined, those 2 had almost 2,000 yards combined and 20 touchdowns. So he's super comfortable with those guys. They have a really good dual threat at running back as well with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. In the season, they combined for 23 touchdowns together, almost 5 yards a carry. They're going to have to be able to establish the run and work off play action, especially to try to negate Nick Bosa and Chase Young and some of the other guys on the 49ers line that can rush the passer and apply pressure. Defense. Again, that's a weak spot for them, but one kid who's special there is Aiden Hutchinson. 11.5 sacks this season. This kid is going to be a force to be reckoned with for many years to come. And in his first 2 playoff games, 3 sacks. So he's looking to make an impact. He's a special player. Keys to victory for me, they got to apply pressure to Purdy. Again, they're 23rd in the NFL in sacks. That's not going to cut it. You're going to have to apply pressure and get this kid uncomfortable in the pocket. Like most quarterbacks, if they're forced to move and they're uncomfortable, more than likely they're not going to be as accurate as they normally are. And he's very accurate. He's actually a very good system quarterback. A lot of people knock Brock Purdy. They don't think he's one of the better top-tier quarterbacks. They think he's just a system quarterback. But what people don't understand is that that's okay, as long as you do that very well in that system. And I think he does. But you're going to have to apply some pressure and make him uncomfortable. There's no way you're going to be able to sit back and allow him to dissect a defense with the weapons that they have on offense. And you have to limit Christian McCaffrey. It's almost like you got to pick your poison, because he can run the rock, he can catch the rock. He's a home run threat either way. So you're going to have to either, in my opinion, zone in on the run and try to take your chances in the passing game, or vice versa. Take him away from the passing game so that it negates a potential mismatch against a linebacker. I think they're going to have to do that. If they allow him to do both, like he did last week, it may be a long afternoon. And you got to carry that Detroit momentum. Play loose. Play like you got nothing to lose. They have taken the identity of their head coach. Continue to do that for one more week. To me, this was a big week for Jared Goff in the locker room. Because like I said, he's the guy that has the most playoff experience. He's the guy that has played in the biggest game. He's played in a Super Bowl. So I would think this would have been a big week for him to make sure that he gets these young guys in line, in check, ready for what they're going to endure on Sunday. They are knocking on the door. They are right there. They have to seize this opportunity. Now, who wins this game? What's my prediction? I went back and forth with this one because I think this is going to be another close classic game. Part of me says the Niners because of their offense going up against a very inconsistent Lions defense. But then part of me says the way the Lions have been playing the last couple weeks, they're going to be a tough train to stop. Plus, how do you root against the Lions? It's like they've become America's team, America's darlings. I mean, a team, a franchise that hasn't won in forever. Now all of a sudden they're here. One game away from the Super Bowl. It's a great story, and I can relate because I'm a Jet fan. So my heart says the Lions. And then I think about it, and realistically, I wasn't really thrilled with the way the Niners looked last week. I know they did what they needed to do at the end, and they pulled it off, and that's what good teams do. But something wasn't right in that game. And the Lions are coming in with a ton of momentum, coming off 2 huge playoff wins. I expect their fan base to travel. For some reason, I just think that this is the Lions' year to go to the Super Bowl for the first time in the history of their franchise. So I'm going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to pick the Lions to win this game in a close, classic game and go to their first Super Bowl. I think that would be an amazing story. And if you think I'm crazy, that's okay. This is the first time somebody's called me crazy. But anyhow, that's my preview and prediction for the NFC Championship game. I think it's going to be a classic game. I can't wait to see it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think I'm off? Who are you picking to win? I'd be curious to see what you think. And again, if you're new to watching my videos, this is how we do. Please subscribe. Hit that button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That way you can come back more often, hang out with your boy. Lots of cool stuff in 2024. Make sure you're along for the ride. And like I said earlier in the video, if you have not seen the AFC, my AFC Championship game preview and prediction video, the video link will be on the screen. Make sure you hit that. It'll take you right to it. But as always, thank you for your support. This is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout Spot. Enjoy the games, and I'll talk to you all soon.